Oh god, I almost died. And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another week, another edition of ESL Open Cup Americas number 175. It's good to be back here for another week of for another week of American StarCraft, and I hope everyone has been enjoying themselves, and I hope you're ready for some amazing games here, because we have quite a lot of players. Exclamation mark be in the chat if you guys want to have a look at the bracket yourselves, as we are jumping into our first series of the day. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Dragon Scales, we have the pink Zerg player representing SC Swarm. It is Jay. And spawning in the top left hand corner of Dragon Scales, we have someone who is very well known and loved here on this channel. We have the American Protoss player representing Apprentice Esports. It is Ruiyichi. Oh boy, here we go. So we had quite a number of matches available for us here at the start of the tournament. I'll be honest, initially we were looking at John Bomb versus Yo-Yo. John Bomb is someone who we've actually been casting a lot of recently, especially in the Dave Tester new map tournaments. New map events. We have been casting quite a bit of John Bomb. And likewise, Yo-Yo is someone who we have casted when it comes to the apprentice circuit, the NA apprentice circuit. But they took a little bit, or they were a little bit delayed with their start. Yo-Yo was MIA. He has finally shown himself, but you know, they are going to be getting into their own series. We have found ourselves into our own series though. And I'm pretty excited because I don't get to cast enough Ruiyichi anymore. For those who don't know, Ruiyichi, he was once a Diamond player, and he once played in our tournaments. He once played in Ducklings Open years ago, and we saw him rise through the ranks, through Diamond, through Masters, eventually hitting GM, and now to the point where he is one of the best Protoss in the Americas. Oh boy. And it was, I think, last year when he got picked up by Apprentice Esports, which was really sick. It was really cool to see. Something that, you know, it's always really great to see a player that you've like kind of seen grow before your eyes in a way, picked up by another team and cared for, supported, looked after, all that good stuff. So it's great to kind of see that happen. But alas, we'll see how he does here against his next opponent. I'm not too familiar with Jay, I'll be honest. Jay is GM. He is, of course, over 5k on the NA ladder, and he is a part of SC Swarm, which is a pretty dedicated amateur team. But again, I've never had the luxury of casting him, I should say. So I'm ready to bear witness. Here we go. Already, we have a pretty standard opener from our Zerg player, Hatchgas Pool, into our third base timing, forced to take the unnatural natural. Nothing too crazy out of our Zerg. Oh, as a one momento. There we go. As across the map, Ruiyichi is doing something a little bit more aggressive. Ruiyichi, he kind of thrives in the mid game. He's not, when I think about Ruiyichi, when I watch his games, when we cast him, not really one to go for the late game. He is going to be going for something a little bit different here. A Twilight Council opener straight into Glaives. How many gateways? That is the real question here. We have 2 gates for the... Oh, no, never mind. We're going up to 4 gates for the time being. 4 gates isn't the most committed. You know, we do typically transition from here and get into a third base, and we can kind of get into the mid game. Unless we throw down more gates, or if we go for additional gases, we can go for a faster robotics bay off of 2 bases as well. There are different options available here to Ruiyichi. We'll see. We shall see. Meanwhile, at the same time, we do see Jay hasn't gone for the scout yet. He sees the adepts at least being warped in. He has eyes on the lack of third base as well. So this is all a bit of a tell. And thankfully, he's getting a safety Roach Warren here in his main base. I say safety, I believe this was thrown down at around the 3-minute 30 mark. So a little bit earlier than is normal. Stalker has been spotted. This should be a tell that it is a Twilight Council opener. Prism is out, the adepts are warping in. We already have roaches on the way. Jay cutting workers here at 40. A pretty respectable worker count to be cutting against Glaive adepts. And so far so good, but oh, there's no energy for transfuse. The queens, one of them at least, is going to be going down. Not the best start here, but at least it's only a single queen. No economic damage behind this. Ruiyichi should be setting up to expand, but no, this is what we were talking about. 2 gases have been taken. It looks like we are going to be committing a little bit harder here to 2-base play. We could go for that robotics bay to get into disruptors, or even just starting mortar production. Meanwhile, the Adepts are going to be dancing here with the army. They're going to be threatening a shade into the natural. We do cancel the shade, but the Queen Roach is just a little bit too potent, and Ruiyichi cannot break into the third base. Not yet, anyway. I don't think he really can, period. He's going to be threatening a shade, and looks like he will commit to the shade here on top of the ramp. Lings are taking care of at least some of them, but we have so many more available here for Jay, and these Adepts, they're still kind of running out of steam. Like, they really haven't done too much here. We do commit to the shade towards the natural, but the Queens and the Roaches are waiting for them. Adepts are falling left and right. At the same time, though, we do finally get some economic damage. Adepts are dropped into the third. The Lings are being cleaned up, but they get some pretty good surrounds, and yeah, Jay losing 5 workers, not too bad across the map. We finally have our third base, but Lings are here in position. Jay is looking to deny him. And these Adepts, I know that 4 Gateclave Adepts doesn't have to do too much damage, but 7 drone kills doesn't feel like enough. But maybe I spoke too soon, because hey, we may get a little bit more. Oh, 8 in total. Oh, that's it. He did it. 8 drones, not too bad. What's important is that Jay has been a little bit lax when it comes to replacing his workers. Finally, a couple more drones are coming out, but we're committing to a bit of a counterattack instead. Not too much to protect this third base, so we could even force a cancel. Oh, but no, we're going to be going for the Adepts instead. Not the best positioning from our Zerg player. A much better positioning from Ruiyichi. He rotates his army over, and he's going to be able to push us away. We have Immortal Sentries. We have our transition point as well. Blink is on the horizon. Meanwhile, back at home, Jay is still not really droning. Oh, yeah, there we go. I was a little bit concerned because, of course, we still had Roach production, and we still have a mixture of drones and Roaches coming out from Jay. He's a little bit of two minds about whether he wants to commit to his economy and saturating his bases, or if he wants to have a robust army and maybe even go for a counterattack. We'll see what he goes for, as Ruiyichi's economy is getting stronger and stronger, already getting fully saturated here on 3 bases. The third base is looking a little bit defenseless. We're lacking pylons, we're lacking shield batteries, but yeah, we're going to be working on that. The first shield battery is on the way. Jay, meanwhile, interesting. Even though we have a lair, we haven't started Roach speed. I think this is a little bit of a misstep. I don't think this is intentional. We are committing to a Ling Roach army, but maybe the pressure of his opponent is getting to him a little bit, because Roach speed is very delayed. I mean, it's non-existent. It's gone. I'm a little bit concerned here for Jay as a result. Without Roach speed, he can't counterattack. Without Roach speed, he can't really engage with the army either. And here we go. Ruiyichi's going to be rocking up towards the 4th base. No creep here in position. We do force a cancel, and Ruiyichi wants to keep on pushing. We have plenty of sentries and force fields. We have no Ravagers either, so these sentries are going to be insane. I should say the force fields are going to be insane. And here we go, the Baileys are rolling on forward, and maybe aspect as soon. Here we go, the Baileys, they do connect with some of the sentries, but not all of them. 1 sentry does survive. The army pushes on forward as well. Ravagers are finally being morphed in. As this is happening, it looks like we have a 4th base on the way. The Immortals packing a massive punch here on this army. Once again, the force fields are going to be slowing down those Banelings, and Ruiyichi may just have too much. The Lings are breaking on through. The final sentry will go down, but we have reinforcing Immortals coming out. The Immortals are exposed. Oh, 2 of them go down. The 3rd one is looking very exposed as well, but these Stalkers are getting so much value here as the army is distracted by the Immortal, and I don't blame him. The Immortal was worth it. The Stalkers are able to have free reign on the Roach Ravager. And the Roaches are falling left and right. There are not enough Lings to really support the Ravager army either. And we have the aggressive Link forward as well. Ruiyichi, I feel like he knows that he has broken through. Jay trying to trickle in with what he has, with his Lings, with his Ravagers. Alas, it is not going to be enough. We even have some Zealots being warped in. These are slow. Let's bear that in mind. Not the most impactful of units here, but it doesn't. You don't need speed, Papi. You don't need charge. It's all good. GG gets called, and Ruiyichi takes game number 1. GG, well played. The initial defense wasn't too bad, honestly, from Jay. I was pretty impressed overall. I was pretty impressed overall with how he was able to perform and how he was able to defend and even counterattack and harass that third base. But it was the follow-up where he was lacking a little bit. We kind of pointed it out as it was happening. I did feel like he was caught between two minds, right? He was like, you know, do I wish to... Oh, let's quickly fix this. Do I want to, like, drone, or do I want to go for an all-in? Like, we saw his droning was looking a little bit delayed there from our Zerg player. And by the time we did drone, like, it had taken a little bit too long. We forgot roach speed as well. We didn't really have too much of a map presence. And now we're going to be getting into game number. But yeah, the bracket today is looking pretty intense. A lot of players coming in here. You know, we've got Bjorn, we've got Solar, we got Spazzy Mazzy. I haven't seen Spazzy Mazzy in quite some time. We've got our regulars like Pig and Nero. We've got Mixu, who's going to be staying up a little bit. We've got Vindicta. We have our boy Eric as well, of course. The man of the hour. We'll be watching him or tuning into him a little bit later on in the evening. But here we have him, our first Zerg player. The pink Zerg representing SC Swarm. It is Jay. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Babylon, we have his opponent. We have the American Protoss representing Apprentice Esports. It is Ruiyichi. Here we go. So yeah, really solid performance out of Ruiyichi overall. A couple of slip-ups here and there, I would say. Again, the Glaive Adepts weren't doing too well for him. Likewise, it did feel as if his expansion was delayed or a little bit exposed when he was eventually taking it. I could definitely see some vulnerabilities that could be taken advantage of by Jay, depending on how he approaches game number 2. So, and we'll see how this does go. I know Ruiyichi took a little bit of a break towards the start of the year, but it's great to see him returning to the game, returning to competitive play. As always, as always. As across the map, that probe is just being as annoying as possible. We see Jay going for a hatch gas pull. This time the hatchery is on location, so he's going to have a bit of an easier time in the early game. So that happens though, Ruiyichi is just going to be as annoying as possible, tasing away at the drones. One of them already getting a half HP. Just working with those shields. The probe is a bully, Poppy. He's a bully. Aye, aye, aye. So yeah, from here, the early game is going to be settling down a little bit more, and it's really exciting to see, you know, a player representing SC Swarm. SC Swarm, they've been around for quite some time. For those of you that are familiar with maybe CranKy, it's a similar kind of website. SC Swarm, they're kind of a platform dedicated to supporting Zerg players with builds and guides, and they have their amateur roster as well, where they've got, you know, a couple of Masters players and GMs as well that do support each other. I know Chappie was a part of SC Swarm for a long time. I think he still has good relations with SC Swarm as well. But yeah, it's really cool to see them, you know, continuing to thrive and continuing to compete. It's one of those things where for each race, you have SC Swarm for Zerg, you've got TerranCraft for Terran, and Protoss have Gemini. Protoss do have Gemini's website. They have all things Protoss that does support that as well. So yeah, it's just really cool to see each race kind of have their own kind of safe space where they can all kind of thrive and work on each other. Cool to see. It's a good initiative that has been going on for quite some time. And as much as I bring up TerranCraft, I actually don't know the last time Max hosted. I'm actually really curious. Un momento, papi, un momento. Oh, it's been a while. Oh my god, so much time has passed, man. So much time has passed. Come and gone. I was quickly checking. The last article on CranKy was 2021. So it's been a while. It has been a while. But I have been hearing from Max, and it's good to see him doing well on Twitter, on social media. Max is the owner of CranKy. Until such a time, though, we do see Ruiyichi actually going for a very different opener. This is going to be a Twilight Council opener, yes, but not Glaives this time. Is going to be going for a faster Robo, is going to be staying in Gas, and he's going for a Dark Shrine instead. Oh boy, so a more old school DT opener here from Ruiyichi. And we'll see if Jay is going to be prepared for this. Jay, once again, is going to be going for a much earlier Roach Warren. This is the same timing as game number 1. So he'll be prepared against Glaive Adepts. His Lings are going to be fanning out here to try and scout if there's a third base. Once again, he's going to confirm it's not a Stargate opener, otherwise there would be a third being thrown down at around this time. Adepts are being cleaned up, the Prism is across the map, and there's no spores. The game may just end. Not like this, but the DTs are waddling on in. They reveal themselves. One queen does go down. Spores are now started up. These ETs, if they wanted to, they could go straight for the mineral lines right now and get some economic damage, but they don't know that there is no detection. Until now, DTs are headed towards the natural base. We do have a hold position on that Spore. The Spore is going to finish in the natural. It won't finish at the third, though. So Ruiyichi could have maybe even ended the game if he had been a little bit more bloodlusted. But alas, you know, he's going to be, or we do see Jay buying some time. This third base is looking very exposed, though. The hatchery is going to be taking a lot of hits. At the same time, we have a massive lane counterattack. Third base looking very exposed right now. As the Lings are about to rock up, we have one DT to defend, and that's not going to be enough. The third base does get cancelled. At the same time, we have the Archons being morphed in to try and go for a bit of a drop, try to harass. And Archons are going to, mate, they want those Lings. They want anything, really. There's not too much to deal with them. There's 3 roaches here in the natural base. Let's say 3, I meant to say 2. Now 1. Clutch Transfuse does keep one of the roaches alive, but again, this is still really good trades overall from Ruiyichi. Gets another queen. Meanwhile, across the map, we see another third base being taken, but likewise, the Lings are arriving, and we may see another cancel. Oh, but these Lings are on a move. They're not targeting the Nexus, and it looks like as a result, Ruiyichi may be able to hold on. Oh, the A move. Going to be warping in another wave. The pylon is going to go down. That will not cancel the warp in, and it looks like Ruiyichi will hold on to his third base. At the same time, the double Archons are still out on the map. They get a second Overlord, and now they're going for some drones. Now, I'm a little bit concerned here. So, these Archons have been doing a lot of damage. At the same time, the third base is delayed here from Ruiyichi, so it's kind of hard to say who's ahead. I still think Ruiyichi's in a better position. Oh, okay. He's in a better position overall, and it looks like he gets a third Overlord, and he could even get a fourth Overlord. Oh! So Ruiyichi has to be very careful with his Archons. Meanwhile, the Lings are rocking up once again, looking to maybe even deny the Nexus. This time they will focus it down, but at this point it may just be too late. Oh, this is going to be a massive waste of Lings here, as we're going to be losing almost everything. The Nexus will not go down. Look at the units lost tab here. 66 Lings down the drains. You can see how efficient Ruiyichi has been. Insanely efficient here, only losing a handful of units here and there. And now Ruiyichi can focus on his counterattack. Jay, alas, just wasn't ready for the DT opener, didn't have his spores ready either. And even though he didn't lose too many workers, he did lose a lot of queens, did lose a lot in his defense. And in the follow-up as well, these Archons have gotten so much value. They're still alive from the early game. And we see Ruiyichi looking to close things out here, pushing into the natural. What do we have to defend? We have a handful of roaches. We've got a couple of queens as well. This time, These aren't slow lots. This time they are charged lots. The Archons are going to be going down. The Prism is a little bit too far back to help support the army. But even though the Archons fell, we still have so much more on the ground. The force fields are too good. We have 3 Immortals with the army, the Stalkers as well, but get on top of everything. And GG gets called. Good luck in the next round. Ruiyichi takes it 2-0. GG, well played. Again, Ruiyichi, I feel like he thrives in this kind of area of the game, going for these Twilight Council openers, going for these aggressive plays. Ooh, and yeah, GG. I hope Jay is able to learn from this experience as well. You know, I don't know how often he's able to go up against someone of the caliber of Ruiyichi. And yeah, GG. GG, well played. There we go. Congratulations to Ruiyichi as he does move on in the bracket to face his next opponent. Meanwhile, my condolences to Jay. He will be knocked down and knocked out here in the first round. But a massive shout out to Jay as well for him to actually take part and actually, yeah, be a part of today's tournament. Much love, much love. Less than 3.